starting with ba 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 da 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 ba 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 da 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 ba 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 da da da. And he's not afraid of trying.
Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan and welcome back to Superhero Rewind Unscripted. I got a special guest tonight. It's DJ Martinez, and we are continuing our series, which we started about a month and a half ago on superhero movie and television music, superhero screen music, and we've got another top 10 for you. DJ, welcome to the program. Thanks a bunch for being here.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm happy to talk some music with you anytime. Can that be the number one choice? Ba Ba Ba. That's the famous superhero theme for the world-renowned superhero review show on YouTube.
Yeah, if only it was animated.
That's true. Well, you're a very animated personality.
Oh, I don't think that's what we meant. Because you could say that about like a lot of live action superhero movies where it's like the main character is very animated.
I'd
Or
put you
TV
up there
shows?
with the best of them.
Where it's like, hey, why didn't you include Smallville? Because it's got John Glover. He's very animated.
Not as animated as he is in Batman and Robin.
Yeah, or the beginning of Shazam.
That's true, yeah. Oh, man. No, we're talking animation, which I was a little worried about when you brought this up to me. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can put together a list, but I have a list, and I'm happy with it. So
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting comparing our lists for lots of reasons. I grew up real hard on superhero cartoons, and I'd say probably like 60% of my like superhero fandom chemical makeup is because of a lot of cartoon shows I watched when I was a kid. So like Batman '89 is the reason I get into Batman in the first place, but like animated series and then some other shows that I don't want to bring up because they might wind up on this list. End up forming my taste real hard and just making me much more of a superhero fan. This is a thing I've been wanting to do forever. I almost did this list back in the real early scripted days, the 10-15 minute video days.
Wow.
And I don't know why I never got around to it, but it's going to be fun to do it now and to be able to kind of take our time and talk these out a little bit more and hear upwards of possibly 20 things as opposed to just the 10 I would bring to the table. It'll be interesting to see if we have any overlap whatsoever. By the way, we're not going to play any themes tonight. I wish we could, but I'm too concerned about the likelihood of getting copyright flagged and getting the video struck down, which has happened particularly when I've played stuff from Warner Brothers in the past. And so not to just single them out, there's other companies as well. But it makes it even, as short as these are and even just trying to play 10, 15 seconds of music, you just don't know if you're going to get to keep the video up or if even we won't get to keep broadcasting live. So you'll just have to imagine the music. And that's the same thing that we did. So at least we're consistent. That'll be the same thing we did with our first video where we talked about superhero movie scores.
yeah, that was a great conversation too.
And very different lists. Yeah, we had a couple things that were the same, but you and I have real different tastes. We were raised in real different eras. So tell me real quick what the process was like for you in putting this together and what your criteria kind of was for best with this. Because, of course, that's very subjective, and I didn't have any parameters I threw at DJ besides just they had to be animated and just put together what to you are the 10 best, like your 10 favorite. This is much more of a favorites list than, of course, definitive of all time. I always give out, that caveat. But what was that process like for you?
Yeah, definitely coming at this from my personal favorites, what I've seen, although I did do quite a bit of research for this one, much more than I did for probably about the same, but I tried to go back and listen to as many of that I could find. I did a lot of searches, listen to all the Marvel DC stuff, and whatever other things I could find on YouTube, because I was a movie guy when I was growing up. My family was much more into movies. I didn't watch a ton of TV. We didn't have cable or satellite or whatever. So I watched whatever episodes of 90s Spider-Man and 90s X-Men I could get on DVD or VHS or Ninja Turtles or whatever. But we didn't have and we had some Saturday morning cartoons because that was back when local television still had stuff. So I did grow up with a few shows in the early 2000s with my brother. So I did have some stuff to go to there, but I also had to do a little bit of research to fill in the gaps because I wasn't as familiar with everything. So and I'm glad I did that because I found some things that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise. But yeah, just thinking of what I like, and also taking into account kind of like what makes a good theme song, kind of iconic sounding theme songs that I think are good. And actually, the thing I would say that some things got dropped off. I've been listening to these theme songs like all the time for like the past 2 weeks, and some things that I thought would make my list, I got tired of and I dropped off. So like these ones that I'm going to mention right now have I can listen to them for at least a couple weeks in a row without getting tired of them. So
my apologies. I thought I had myself muted, and then I unmuted myself and cleared my throat. My apologies.
No worries.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite of the experience I had with this, because like I said, this is a list I've wanted to make for years. So a lot of the things that are, well, I can't even say that. Some of the things that are on my list were things I knew for sure would make the list. And for folks that know me pretty well, watch the channel for a long time, there will be some things here that you'll expect and that you'll roll your eyes when you see them because, yes, of course, that's obligatory. Of course, Kat picked that. There's some stuff that you'll think I would put here that I thought I was going to put here that didn't make it, which was, so it was weird putting this list together, DJ, but I had the opposite thing where I didn't have to scrounge for anything. I had too many in the first place. Like I started with a list of like 19 or 20 and I had to pare that down. And there were other things I thought of here and there where I was like, nah, I'm gonna stick to what I've got because I already have too many things. And so I've got some runners up that I'll talk about at the end, but I did zero research for this whatsoever. I did go back and re-listen to a few of the things that made this that I haven't heard in a while, but the way I put this together was, again, real backwards from what you did, because I thought I only want to pick stuff that has been stuck in my head forever. That like I can't get it out of my head. So most of what's on my list are actually, maybe everything, are things that even if I haven't seen them in a real long time, and some things that I've barely watched in probably 10, 15, 20 years even, if they come to me in the shower, if they come to me when I'm just walking around, I find myself whistling it, I can't even remember what it is right away. Oh yeah, that's what it is. That's the way I made my list. That was kind of my criteria. And like you said, when you're, this is kind of like advertising jingles, right? Like, yeah. It's all about what grabs you and makes you want to keep watching the show. It's about setting tone. And I think everything on my list does a really good job of representing the material, and nearly everything, if not everything, continues to be woven into and works in the score in the show too, where like this is the sound of that series. So anyway, in some ways it was really easy because I didn't have to go look for anything. I didn't have to do any research, but whittling it down, this is the hardest list I've ever made as far as that goes, where like, I'm never going to be happy with this.
I'm never going to be happy with the placement. I think I'm happy actually, but it took me a long time to get the placement because it seemed a little arbitrary because nostalgia is such a big part of this. Yeah. For most of mine too. I know I said I did include one that I didn't grow up with, but most of them are things that I did grow up with.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering about that because the way because we've been talking back and forth during the week about this, and you were talking about doing research. And the first, and forgive me for this, but when you first mentioned that, I was like, that's cheating. Like, you don't get to go look for do any research. You don't get to put things on your list that you haven't watched the show for. But then I thought about it and I was like, I mean, whatever floats your boat. And especially if you didn't grow up with a lot of stuff, you're not going to have as many connections to material. Like, this was less about, I mean, obviously the tunefulness of it and the earworminess of it is important, but it was impossible for me to completely separate nostalgia with this. So like, there's no way around it. So some of it is just your personal like relationship with the material.
Yeah. I think I definitely think jingle writing is an art form, and you gotta write something that you're gonna listen to 26, 30 times a season, and you can't not get tired of it for multiple seasons. Like sometimes I keep the same theme song forever. So you gotta, I don't know how they do it. Maybe it's just chance. And they just, or maybe we just like, maybe humans just like something that plays over and over again. Although I don't know, I don't. The Power Rangers Operation Overdrive theme is horrendous, and I hate it every single time. So I don't think that's it.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think another way to look at this, you know, your criteria could be, if you were going to marathon the show, if you were going to watch 10 or 12 episodes in a row, how long is it before you start skipping the intro?
Yeah. How long before you push that Netflix button nowadays?
And again, that's real subjective. That's why it's kind of fun to have two different people with different feelings on this, and that grew up in different eras. Because I know that threshold is even different for you and I when it comes to like the original Power Rangers theme. Like when we were doing commentaries on that regularly, there came a point where you started going, okay, even I'm sick of this song now. Like,
well, that was literally hundreds of episodes. But
yeah, but like I still never have that with that theme.
Yeah. No, that one's a good one too. I think I could listen to. And I think all of these I could listen to ad infinitum, as I've proven this last couple weeks.
Because you keep doing it.
Blasting it in my car with my kids and my poor wife.
So we got a quick, just jokey super chat from Senior Six. By the way, thanks for joining us this evening. If you're watching live, thanks for watching after the fact as well. Really appreciate it. Senior Six, $2 super chat. Is Gotham on this list as it is quite animated? No, it's not. And I get why you said that, because we were talking about like people being animated, but it's funny, like there's quite a bit of like practical stuff in that show. I mean, there's probably, you know, a lot of digital matte paintings and stuff too, but
I don't know how practical the characters are.
Well, they're not practical at all. They're not logical either. We also got a $1 super chat at the beginning from Brightburns, who I guess just wanted to be nice and buy me a Coke, which I don't drink anymore, and Cokes are probably more than $1 all the time now, but I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. I'll find something snacky I can get for $1. That was very nice of you. He didn't say anything. You can't actually say anything with a $1 super chat.
Well, it's the thought that counts.
But it was nice of him to do that. Okay, so before we'll go ahead and get into our list here, but real quick before we do that, DJ, talk for a second about just the era you grew up with in the superhero cartoons that if you did happen to channel flip would pop up most often. Like,
yeah, so like I grew up a little bit with Fox Kids in the 90s, like I said, so I watched some of that on Saturdays. Spider-Man, X-Men were pretty much the only two Marvel shows I was exposed to. I didn't get to see any of the other ones. I saw, because those are the only ones that really got like VHS and DVD, and even they didn't get much either, but you know, compared to the whole show. And then like basically the 2000s, from 2000 to 2010, I have two younger brothers, so I watched probably a little longer than most people would, or most people would deem appropriate for, I don't know how old I was, 12-year-old, 10, 11, 12-year-old, because I have two younger brothers. One of them is 6 years younger, and one of them is like 10 years younger, so quite a bit. So I lived through the WB Saturday mornings era with like Shaolin Showdown and Jackie Chan Adventures and Teen Titans and the Batman and all that.
Yeah,
that era.
I was in college at that point.
Yeah, and then you've got some other Marvel shows in there too. So yeah, I would say that was my biggest formidable years would be the 2000s.
Yeah, that's while X-Men Evolution was on.
Mm-hmm. X-Men Evolution, a lot of good stuff in there. So, and I'll bring some of that stuff up. I don't want to. My stuff is it's kind of all over the place. I've got some 2000 stuff. I've got some 60s, 80s, 90s. It kind of varies. There's a good bit of stuff. So, little eclectic mix.
Yeah, and yours is way more eclectic than mine, which again probably won't shock anybody. There's some cool earlier things that I would have probably kicked around if my list wasn't already so lengthy and so much stuff vying for spots. But yeah, I didn't go very early at all with my list. As everybody knows, I was a 90s kid. I grew up in the Cartoon Network era and the Steven Spielberg, Warner Brothers era. And so that informs my interests and my taste in cartoons a lot. I was always much more of a Warner's guy than a Disney guy. And of course, Disney doesn't have a ton in the way of superhero Anyway, but also real quick before we get into this, let me say because I'm already seeing some comments saying, of course, Cap's gonna pick animated Batman, and that's probably gonna top the list. And I wanted to just go ahead and nip that in the bud right away so that people aren't waiting for it. I didn't include it; it's not on my list, and there are really good reasons for that. So the big.
Unsubscribed.
So the big thing is, DJ, you wouldn't unsubscribe. You never watched that show. So here's the big reason that I left it off. First of all, it's obvious, it's obligatory. Everybody knows I love that theme. You could almost consider that like, my issue 0 or something. Like it's kind of at the top. But we're dealing with just the themes themselves, not the intros, and like the intros with the animation. So we're tonight just talking firmly, specifically about music. And I always wanted to do this video as combined with the themes and the intros. And because I invited DJ and we decided to make this part of our music series, we didn't approach it that way. So DJ is just listening to music and not letting the animation inform him too much. Obviously, it's going to some degree if you've got the nostalgia for it. There's no way around it. But if we're prioritizing the music over the visuals, I'm not going to pick that theme because it's based on something that existed already. Mm-hmm. That's part of the reason I felt the need to not pick that. I love Shirley Walker, and what she does with that theme is it actually makes it stand out and feel like very much its own thing, to the point where, this is an aside, but I can't right away remember the name of the band, DJ, but there's an album of covers of Saturday morning cartoon music called Saturday Morning Apocalypse that I like a lot. It's got a really great version of Johnny Quest and the X-Men theme and a bunch of other things. But Batman is there. And it's all supposed to be Saturday morning cartoon music, but and it's all metal. It's all metal covers. And then when you get to that, they're not doing the Shirley Walker version. It's just straight up the intro from '89, the Elfman music. And I'm like, you guys, it's not the same thing. Like, yes, that melody is in there, but it opens very differently, and she's got entire melodies that weave in and out that are not in the Elfman theme. And I'm like, that's not what that should sound like. So yes, there is a difference, but it is based on that. It is derived from that. And again, I had so much else here. I felt the need to axe it because of that. So it's in a realm all by itself.
That makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. You don't. It's not like that needs any more exposure than it has.
Yeah, precisely. But if we were doing a list of just openings, if we said intros and not theme music, it would be at the top because it's the most brilliant animated intro of all time. It's just a like 50-second cartoon that doesn't even feel the need to give you the title. It's fantastic. So like I would have to include it if we were doing that, but we're just doing music. Mm-hmm. So anyway, any other caveats you want to throw out before we get to the list?
No, I think I'm good. I think I covered it. I think I'm ready to jump in.
Okay, DJ, let's hear your number 10 first, sir. We'll let you start again because I just gave us way too much preamble, as I always do.
No worries. All right, my number 10 is, like I mentioned, is a show that I did not grow up with at all, but I just discovered this last week, and I think it is really, really good and good enough to make my top 10 list. It's a little show, may have heard of it, from 2001. It is called Justice League. Wow, this is really cool. This is like, there's no lyrics or words to this one. It's just a full orchestral, epic sounding superhero score, and it's really cool. It's composed by Lolita Ritmanis from Portland, Oregon. Shout out to Connor Nielsen. And she worked with Shirley Walker on the, like you said, the Batman animated series score, the Superman score, and the Batman Beyond score. And then she collaborated with Michael McCuistion and Christopher Carter on Zeta Project, Teen Titans, Justice League Unlimited, Legion of Superheroes.
I don't know what the Zeta Project theme sounds like. I've never looked that up. Or if I have, I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't know. But she's just a workaholic in the film and television industry. She's done a ton of stuff. She's done X-Files, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves score. So she's done film scores too. She did the score for the Spider-Man 2 video game, which is a fun little fact.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. That's a good score, too.
yeah, and this is great.
Or
This
OST, I guess I should say.
It's like it's just a classic epic superhero score, and we don't get enough like orchestral themes in superhero stuff. I know they did a lot of stuff in the 90s, like I just said, but with DC. But,
Yeah, there's a lot with DCAU, but beyond that, there's not a
Yeah.
ton. It usually goes to whatever the popular music is of the time. So in the 90s, it was a lot of rock. In the 2000s, it was kind of a mix of hard rock and getting closer to, I don't know, kind of hip hoppy stuff. And then past that, we go full on hip hop all the time.
Yeah, so I felt like I needed, I love superhero scores. I listen to them all the time. I felt like I needed to include one like orchestral score on my list. And this one really jumped out at me last week. And what's really cool about this is they released the full soundtrack. There's like, it's on YouTube. Like they released an actual physical album. There's like over 100 tracks of the whole score.
They did that
Obviously-
with a lot of DCAU. And a lot of Shirley Walker's music from Batman, of course, is like that. I think there might be there is one for Superman.
So yeah, so I was listening to it. There's an extended version of the opening. Obviously, the opening's only a minute, but there's like an extended 2.5 minute version that's even better. It's really, really good. And even having no connection to the show, it really got me. I don't know. It gets me like pumped up when I listen to it. It feels very, really taps into like my superhero inner child when I listen to it. So I'm happy that a lot of people got to grow up with this. I think that's very cool. Maybe I will show this show to my son because
Yeah, you should sample it. It's wonderful. I like that theme a lot better than Unlimited. And I mean, Unlimited's fine, but it goes to the rock place and starts to kind of date it a little bit. That was one I considered. It's in my runners up, but I did not actually end up including that one on my list.
And I don't think it'll ever date. I think the stuff we're going to talk about today is a lot more dated than our last video because I don't think scores date like hardly ever, except for like 80s synth stuff. But but this I think will stand the test of time because it sounds great still.
Yeah. See, I'm already feeling remiss about certain things I decided to leave off. Because that was absolutely wonderful and sticks with you also. But my number 10 is a completely different thing and not orchestral. And now that I'm looking at my list, I have less of that than you'd think I would, DJ. I went with, and somebody called it, several of the things actually on my list people called, and some things that in the live comments, and some things that I thought I was going to surprise everybody with. This one I actually thought of a little bit late. This was the one where I already had a list put of like 19, I think, listed out, and I went, oh wait a minute, I've got to throw that on there, and it's probably going to actually make the list. It's from 1993 by a rock musician, I think, named Sonny Chirac, who sadly died the very next year. This is one of the last things he did, and it is the theme to Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the talk show theme, and it sounds like a real, like, quirky hard rock rendition of a lot of the other themes that were happening then. So like it's funny because this is the one thing that isn't Saturday morning but is animated, is a superhero cartoon thing. So it's not even after the same things. It's not an action show. It's trying to parody, just like everything else in that show did, late night talk shows, and it's just got a great earwormy melody, bum 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 bum, and then it's got this wonderful female vocalist that goes yeah, and it's just weird and strange. It opens sounding real, like kind of classic, like 50s sci-fi, or like it belongs in what is the movie I'm trying to think of? I don't know, like some kind of 70s sci-fi epic, and then suddenly it goes into the big hard-edged rock stuff. And I've never forgotten it. I've played with the Captain Logan show with it several times back before we started playing nothing but Marvel vs. Capcom music.
Oh, cool. So I probably know this song. Just not knowing what it is. As always the way with your channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't listen to this one. I actually don't know what this one sounds like. I have to check it out.
I was gonna say that's why I wish we could play stuff, because I knew I would have at least one you'd never heard, and I figured it was probably that one. But that's one that never gets old, never get tired of, and perfectly encapsulates the weirdness of that show. Is honestly, by the end of that show, one of the least weird things in it, because that at least still sounds like music, and you can get your head around it, with the melody and stuff. But then you get into that show, and a bunch of very strange random things start happening, and you don't know why. When I was a kid, I always watched that show late at night. Like, it was usually on like 10, 11, midnight, and I have real fond memories of that being this kind of weekend, last thing I did during the day. Like, when I was a kid, didn't stay up very late. When I would stay up, I'd go to Cartoon Network, and that was the show I was watching. And so with that theme just kind of takes you to another place, and it's like, this is late night. You're gonna get up in the morning and wonder if that was a dream, or if you actually did indeed watch the show and listen to this song.
Yeah, I have to check that one out. That's cool.
What is your number 9, DJ?
All right, my number 9 is a little show from 2006. We're going into the 2000s with this one.
Ooh, I have a guess. Go ahead.
So it is, I might say who it is first because this is interesting. It's composed by Noam Kaniel, an Israeli musician known for composing a lot of animated theme songs. He worked with Chaim Saban and Shuki Levy a lot, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's the theme for the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes show.
Man, I didn't think to go back to that. I've seen that show a couple of times, and I remember it having a rockin' intro.
It's really cool. This is a show I watched a ton with my brothers. It was kind of like the same thing as the '89 Batman leading into the '90s Batman show. This came out 2006, right after the 2005 Fantastic Four movie, but not related. Not like the 2003 Spider-Man show, where that was kind of related to the movies. This was completely separate. It was just on the air because of that movie. And I was in a big Fantastic Four craze at that age. Like, I loved the movie at the time. Obviously, it doesn't hold up great now, but I still have a soft spot for it. And the show is really cool, and it's way more comic booky Fantastic Four. And I kind of learned something about myself the last couple weeks listening to a lot of these and figuring out what my sensibilities are now. This list would be very different if I made it when I was a kid, but now I am really a 60s guy, man. The melody in this is very like 60s guitar riffs, and it almost has like an espionage feel to it, kind of like a little spy theme, which fits great with this show because even though they are Fantastic Four, they're still like the famous superheroes. They're going off on missions in like other dimensions and other realities and in space and stuff. So they're doing a lot of stuff that the public doesn't know about. So I think it fits very well. I really, really dig the 60s feel to it. It's a mostly instrumental song. There is some vocals. There's kind of like like this like haunting, kind of like, yeah, there's like a little bit of Spectacular Spider-Man in it. That era is really cool for 60s throwback retro stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I like it a lot. So like I said, the composer of this, Noam Kaniel, worked with Saban and Shuki Levy in the 70s and 80s and did the Spider-Man, Superman, Fantastic Four, and Hulk shows from that era. He also worked on the X-Men 92 theme. And then guess what he worked on alongside Wasserman in 1993? The MMPR score. And then he came back and did all of the Neo Saban Power Ranger theme songs, which we don't have to talk about that. But so he's worked with Saban forever. It's very weird, all the Saban connections with Marvel in the 90s and those early 2000 years. But yeah, that's my number 9.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's because Saban produced some of that stuff. Like Saban made X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah, someone in the chat said this didn't last long. Yeah, it only got one season, but it's a long season. It's 26 episodes. 26,
yeah. Yeah, I've got that box set. I've never watched through it. I've seen the pilot, and I think I did an episode maybe for the first 24-hour stream we did. I can't remember. I know I've seen at least 2 or 3 episodes of that.
Yeah, they cover a lot of stuff. There's even a Peter Parker cameo.
Oh, really?
In one episode. And there's a Hulk episode. It's really cool.
Are they their own versions, or do they cross with other shows? I guess at that point they wouldn't cross with other shows.
Yeah, they're their own versions, and
Interesting.
he's not full. Yeah, and I like the Hulk episode a lot. It's like a Hulk first thing episode, but yeah, it's like a that kind of thing. It's got a really, it's really groovy. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's really funny that I didn't include more of that kind of stuff on my list, because I really like that kind of 60s rock too, and like kind of surf rock.
Yeah.
Which I haven't listened to that theme in a long time, but I think it's kind of in that category.
It's got that. It's got the undertone of the guitar riff, but it also has a bum, 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 like this thing that's building in the background that's kind of a little orchestral. I don't know. It's a very, very unique sound. I like it a lot.
It's like mid-2000s, we were doing a ton of 60s and 70s throwback, and then last decade, it was all about 80s throwback, and now we're to 90s throwback, and at the point we get to 2000s throwback, it'll just be regurgitation throwback, where the things that we're throwing back to, we just did 20 years ago.
Yeah. Throwback section.
Well, that's a nice segue into my number 9, because my number 9 is also real throwbacky, a little bit more to 70s, I would say, than 60s, but there's certainly some 60s in it too, in the overall package, but maybe a little bit in the music. I could not help but include the Batman Brave and the Bold theme. That has been in my head since the first time I saw that show. It doesn't leave. It's wonderful, and I'm a big jazz guy, and so I couldn't help but go to some jazzy things too. You could argue that there's bits of that song that sound a little disco-y, because it is trying to look and sound like Hanna-Barbera animation from the 70s, I think, but it's also but overall, like, especially with the stings in that, it's a little bit disco era, but it's very kind of swing, big band jazz, and the show itself is kind of a blend of 70s superhero stuff, 70s animation, and 60s Batman. The guy that made that created that show famously said it was all about trying to present to new kids watching Batman what he thought he was watching with the 60s show. And I think that's the secret recipe to the success of that show. And when I say success, I mean how good I think that show is, not necessarily how well watched it was, because it did get canceled prematurely. It was on for 3 years, but it wasn't watched as well as they were hoping it would be. And I think it's because at that point there's I mean, this show starts in 2008, and there's such an interest in Batman from adults that if you can't rope in kids and their parents, it's harder to get the merchandise sold and the viewership that you're wanting. So I think these days especially, you've got to, if you're going to do a kiddie Batman show, you kind of also have to have an adult one on, or you have to find some way to get both of them there. But one of the things I love about that theme is the way, and written by Andy Sertner, by the way, one of the things I love about that theme is how it grabs you right out of a teaser, because that show always had a teaser that was unrelated to the rest of the episode, or usually wasn't too related to the rest of the episode. So you'd have, I don't know if you ever saw Brave and the Bold, DJ, but you'd have a like 1.5 to 2 minute kind of mini episode, and sometimes those were the best things in the show. I always bring up the Space Ghost one because it was kind of crazy that they went back and they made like a 60s episode of Space Ghost where he's palling around with Batman from that show. They did it with Scooby-Doo also, but I don't think that was a teaser. I think that might have been a whole episode. I'm not sure because I never saw that one, but I did see the movie, which they did a lot of years later, and it's wonderful. And you've got to see. I think you've seen that.
I haven't, actually.
Oh, have you not? You should, because it's awesome.
I should, yeah, for sure. Because I love the old 60s Batman episodes on the Super Guest show.
But yeah, I think the way it kind of hits you in the face with the big, like, sax stings, or I guess just brass section stings at the front of it would work fine coming out of, like, a commercial break, but is somehow way cooler right out of a teaser that's not related to the rest of the episode. So you'll have, Batman will make some kind of like cute one-liner pun or something about the bad guy that he's just defeated, and then right out of that you get ba-da ba-da ba-da, and it just slams you in the face. It's wonderful, and I don't know, that song's got it's got dynamics. It's wonderful.
That's really cool. Yeah, that sounds straight up your alley too. Shall we move to my number 8?
Absolutely, sir. Go right ahead.
All right. Now, my number 8, I have to admit, is probably mostly nostalgia. I feel like if I came to this as an adult, it would be a little cringe, and I don't think I would like it. But it is another 2000 show. It's from 2003. It is the TMNT theme song. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like this would be annoying if I watched it, like I said, as an adult for the first time. But every time it turns on, I go nuts and turn into a little child again, because this was my big. I mean, I had seen the Ninja Turtle movies as a kid, and I had like a couple episodes of the '87 show on VHS tape. But this was when I was all in on Turtles when I watched this show. This is the song that's on from 1 through 5, seasons 1 through 5. Season 6 and 7 are terrible.
Don't bother with it.
Fast forward and then back to the sewer. Those theme songs are horrible.
Just fast forward past them, man. Go full circle.
But this song I like. It does get into it is more hip hop, I believe. I think it's hard to even track what this is. It's just kind of like shouting. It's like it's an action show, so we're just gonna yell, and a lot of it isn't even sung like this. Just like Turtles count it off, and they're just like shouting things. I don't know why I like it so much, but I think it's awesome. I used to watch the crap out of the show, played all the games during that era. There was some like X-Men Legend, Marvel Ultimate Alliance kind of rip-off games that were fun to play with my brothers at the time. So this is a big show for me. It is composed by Norman Grossfeld, and Russell Velasquez, but Norman Grossfeld is actually a television producer and screenwriter and like director, and he just also happens to be good at music. He produced the Pokemon English adaptation and the Yu-Gi-Oh show, and he also wrote a lot of music for Pokemon. He's actually coined with the phrase "gotta catch 'em all," came from this guy.
Oh wow! One of mine is like that too. A little bit later,
where it's just the director.
Where it's a guy who's a producer first. Yeah. All right, folks, please excuse the extraordinarily long wait. And when this show is up and running after the fact, it makes you wait 24 hours, DJ, before you can cut anything. But I'll try to cut that whole midsection out so that people watching this after the fact don't have to deal with all of that. But anyway, so DJ lost his internet. He is on data on his phone. And you look remarkably similar to... Like I don't know. Suddenly it cleared up real well for me just before we came back live.
Oh wow, well, that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm hoping I can get back to my list and not close Skype. Hopefully it won't close if I go to another app, because I'm gonna have to look at my list because my internet is not working. So thanks, Xfinity. You're the best.
Well, I would help you out, but I don't have your list because we were trying to keep it a secret from each other.
But yeah, I think I pretty much covered my number 8.
We were
TMNT.
only on 8. Yeah.
It's fun. It's crazy. It's loud, and it fits that show, I think.
It does, but I don't know, it's funny, relatively, looking back at 2003, it does look, if not sound, like when you're looking at the visuals, of course, with the intro that go along with the music, like a grittier show than you might expect from Ninja Turtles and from other things that are on then. But that song is a lot more upbeat than sometimes that show itself is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
I don't think it gives you a sense of just how rough that show is going to get in places with Shredder, like, amputating his followers and...
That's true. I think the show could have worked just as well with the theme song that was more just kind of like orchestral, instrumental, kind of a serious theme song too. But maybe they wanted to balance it out. I think it fits the characters, at least Mikey and Donatello.
Yeah, I might have, and I like that one too. And but while you were busy losing your internet and wanting to kill your internet provider, I was mentioning to the audience before I went on break that I think the one smart thing they kept from '87 was just that they've got a theme song with that's catchy in kind of a different way, but with lyrics that rhyme. It's weird how much I think that has to do with the success of the '87 show. That just like it rhymes and people remember it. Like,
Yeah, and I think Turtles works really well for theme songs because music is so often broken up into fours, and you've got a lot of cool things you can do with a Ninja Turtles song, breaking it up into fourths, like giving a line in each verse to each character and stuff like that.
yeah.
And this one goes all out and just calls out 1, 2, 3, 4 several times in the song. So
to what you were saying with that show working, it would have worked just as well with an orchestral score. It makes me think if they'd had, because I don't know that they did. If they'd had the rights to it, I could have seen them doing some like new orchestration of the 1990 movie theme.
Oh, that would have been cool.
The ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, like they could have done that.
And realizing I don't need this microphone at all because it's not hooked up to my phone, so I'm just going to push
No,
it
I
away.
was waiting to see how long it would take you. I was wondering if you would eventually move it, or if you were thinking, well, I just want to create the illusion that I'm using this microphone.
That's true. I guess I could. Just keep consistent.
Now it's just keeping you company behind you. Okay, we're to my number 8, which is a show that some of you guys have probably never seen, and I don't know if you've ever bothered with this, DJ. You might have ran into this theme when you were doing research, but couldn't help myself with this. This is something of a guilty pleasure kind of thing, but this is a theme song that always sticks with me, partly because I'm a big Offspring fan, and it sounds like an Offspring song. This song was from a show in 2009, written by David Ari Leon, but performed by the group Perry Grip, really early Perry Grip. DJ, are you with us?
I am with you.
I've lost your picture.
Oh, see, it's going to do that every time I go to my list. That's so annoying. I don't know how to do this without my list.
Just memorize it. You're just going to have to memorize it.
Okay.
Are you going to write it all down?
Well, I've got like the composers and stuff. This is a mess.
It's an absolute mess.
What did we do before the internet?
I don't know. Should we call it? Should we start this over another night when it's not insane?
I mean, it's your call. I don't know. I just feel horribly unprofessional.
Well, you know what? We've passed that bridge. We have crossed that bridge. We've passed that stream.
I feel so bad because this is like your flagship show, and I'm tanking it.
Well, that's all right. My computer was already kind of tanking it.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I guess you'll have to just keep popping back and forth like that.
I guess so. Sorry about that.
We could just go audio only. We could do the rest of the show like this.
There we go.
Just not even have our faces at all. I mean, we've already lost all credibility.
Yeah. I can't even have the chat open. I don't know what people are saying. This is a nightmare.
Oh boy. Well, we're in here and we're making a show.
Oh, it's a train wreck.
Well, let's do what we can. Let's try to finish it, DJ. So anyway, my number 8 is Superhero Squad. Superhero Squad, hero up! I never get tired of that. It stays in my brain. It's wonderful. It's very much aimed at little kids, certainly. But I can see people finding, especially the verses, kind of irritating. And a lot of people find Perry Grip annoying. Regardless, they didn't actually write that song, but it does sound like a thing they might have written. I was kind of surprised to find that they didn't compose that. If you're not familiar with Perry Grip, their main claim to fame is YouTube food songs like It's Raining Tacos.
Oh,
and like stuff aimed at little kids that annoy their parents, and I find them wholly entertaining, and I kind of enjoy them. The thing I most appreciate about Paragrip songs is that yes, they're irritating, but they know it, so they're only 35 to 45 seconds long most of the time, and they write songs about food and about Apple technology, mainly. And one of my favorite songs of theirs is about the iPad. But anyway, so yeah, it blew my mind when I found out it was Paragrip, because my kids like to listen to them, and we were listening to a playlist of Paragrip, and then suddenly Superhero Squad comes on, and I was like, no way, that's crazy. And it kind of feels like they got them just because they couldn't get the Offspring, maybe, because it sounds like it ought to be an Offspring song, but. I like the second season of that show. They got away from the potty humor and the kind of more crass stuff that they started with at the beginning. They axe all of that in the second season, and the second season is a kind of parody slash I don't want to say straight up, but it is a adaptation of Infinity Gauntlet, well before it was in the MCU films, and a lot of regular viewers knew what the Infinity Gauntlet was. Their Thanos is hilarious. I can't remember his name, but he's voiced by the guy who did like every Fox cartoon villain you can think of, and he was all over the Tick and lots of other things. But at the end of the intro of the second season, and this is another thing Mikey goes around and says all the time. He goes, "Hoopta!" Like that's the end of it. You get the last sting of that song, and then I think he gets hit the head with the logo, maybe, I forget, and he goes, "Hope Dog!" But it's great. They've got this so Thanos is trying to get all the Infinity Gems, and then they've got this bit in. Like, it's adapting some stuff from Infinity Gauntlet, but of course it goes its own way, and it's real, silly and absurd about it. And then they've got this real cool section toward the end where it's like, I think 5 or 6 episodes where a lot of our characters all get broken up and thrown into, to different galaxies. And they use that as an opportunity to go to a bunch of kind of lesser known material, again in a period before we were doing any of that. So like there is a kind of Marvel horror episode where they do like Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing and a bunch of the kind of monster characters. Cool. And it's really neat that they did that stuff. But anyway, I don't want to just review that. I've always wanted to do a video on that show, and I might at some point, at least on the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, because I can't get excited about watching the rest of that first season, because, again, I don't like the kind of gross-out humor they do there, but they're totally done with that later. And their Doctor Doom is really funny, who's the main villain of the first season. But anyway, as like that show looks like it's based on little kid toys for Marvel stuff, kind of like Imagine Next, but not that brand. And most of us wouldn't even think to look at that unless you had kids. But I do recommend that second season. If you really know your Marvel, those guys do too, and it shows. And it's wonderful. And Stan Lee's in it. Because, of course, Stan Lee back then was in everything. But he's the mayor of Superhero City. And he's great.
Sweet. Yeah, I did not ever watch any of that show. But should I move on to my number 7?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me while I probably disappear for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, my apologies, guys. I'm super distracted by all of this. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. My number 7 is a show from 2010, probably maybe the latest show on my whole list here. It's performed by the band Bad City. It is Fight as One for the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
I knew that was going to be on your list, yeah. And that's one I did not go back and think to listen to, but I always liked that theme a lot. Like I said, I just had too much to start adding more, so that's the only reason that's not here.
So here it is. It's Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I watched this show a lot. I actually own the Blu-ray of the first season. I don't own the second season yet, but I should get my hands on it, because they put out a really nice release for this first season. It has a slipcover and everything. I like this show a lot. This was 2010, so I was much older at this point. This is also a little dated. It's very much that like hard, like the Linkin Park era.
That's true.
It's
it was dated then.
Yeah. So it's a little cringy, but I don't know, little hard rock DJ from the mid 2000s can still rock out to this song sometimes, and I like it quite a bit. It's cool. The first verse, it's only one verse, but each line, if you look at the lyrics, I won't read them to you because I can't, but each lyric coincides with Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, which are kind of the main four at the beginning of the show. And they intended on doing a second verse for later on in the show, where each line would coincide with Black Panther, Ant-Man, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. But they never made the full version of the song because they opted to just shorten the song and do like a narration thing that they do sometimes with theme songs in the rest of the latter half of the first season.
Interesting.
Which is kind of a bummer because I would have liked a full release song of this, but we never got it. But I think the song is great as it is, and I know a lot of people like this one. When you did your 24-hour stream, that was the episode I guested on. I guested on an episode from this show, and the show holds up. It's really cool. I like the straight off the page Kirby illustrated style, and I wouldn't say the song goes necessarily. This is weird, right? Because the song doesn't necessarily go with the rest of the show, but I think it's cool enough on its own that it kind of works. I think the rest of the show is scored quite differently. I don't think there's rock music throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah, it's not like a Power Rangers thing.
No,
it's more like later Power Rangers, right? Where you still have a rock theme, but then the rest of it is more orchestral, like with Power Rangers in space and stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah. The show's great, and the song's pretty cool too. So
yeah,
that's my number 7.
I always wondered why they elected to go with that kind of music for that show, because the general tone of that seems to kind of call for something closer to what would later be in the Avengers movies. I think like that would go just fine with that kind of thing as well. It kind of reads, and I'm with you. I like that song. I'm not knocking on that. It's just a peculiar choice. I don't want to go as far as to say anachronistic, but it is an odd choice.
Yeah, but it was we were trying things in the 2000s. Back when we actually did theme songs still, and there weren't just like 5-second stings when a logo appears. So yeah, I don't know. I guess they just liked the band, and I couldn't find a lot online of how the band got roped into doing this. There's some hard. It's hard to find information on these theme songs. I was doing some research this morning, and I was like, I can't find anything. All I found is the band name and that little tidbit about them trying to make it a full song. But yeah,
a lot of the time with stuff like that, particularly music, you have to really deep dive and find like that one random podcast that the composer did with some guy who's got like 500 subscribers on YouTube or something. Like sometimes you have to dive that far.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's a good spot. At my number 7 is where it's settled.
That's a great pick. I need to go back to that show. I never finished it, partly because, of course, it didn't get a real ending, and everybody was sad about that. And I was like, well, I don't want to deal with another cliffhanger show.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I don't know if it actually ended on a cliffhanger like Spectacular did, but
I don't know. I haven't finished the second season.
It's on Disney Plus. When you get your internet back.
Yeah, I need to check it out too.
Yeah, and it's also a bummer that they didn't do that full song. It's weird, right? Because usually when there's a full version of a theme song, it's because the theme song was written well before the show and they just took a piece of it out. It's kind of interesting to do it backwards. Because obviously that's a thing that has to be written specifically for those characters. So it's kind of weird that they were like, well, we wrote this as a theme, but let's broaden it out and actually give it extra verses and a bridge and stuff. But I guess that kind of thing happens more often with cartoons than live action shows, because cartoons know that they're going to have it's got to like really appeal to the kids, and usually it's a lot more about specifically the characters and the situation involved, right? You don't as often like you do with sitcoms and stuff just go to a song that exists already and then put that in front of a cartoon show.
Yeah, they're very specific, and a lot of theme songs explain what's going on.
The premise.
In the theme song. Yeah, like especially like with Ninja Turtle, or even this one, like I said, the first I think the first verse is tormented and attacked, which is about Hulk, and then it's something about waking up with Captain America, then with No Way Back, which is Thor because he's trapped on Earth and he can't go back to Asgard. So this one's
he's got no way home.
yeah, basically, it's the first No Way Home.
But that's a tradition in animation that goes all the way back, of course.
Yeah, you got to explain. We can't have episodes and episodes of origin. Just get it out in the theme song.
Well, especially because so many Saturday morning cartoons are about selling an action figure before it's anything. So the whole reason the show exists is to create a backstory and for the kids to have a context for the stuff they're going to play with. So you can do that encapsulated in intro. So if the kid doesn't bother watching the rest of the show, he already has some sense of at least the personalities of the character and what the premise is. Which is why you gotta have Donatello Does Machines, and you gotta have the Autobots versus the Decepticons, and all of that. Okay, well, my next one is not a cartoon show like that feels the need to explain everything, although it does have narration at the beginning that kind of does. Mine is from 1998, and nobody is going to be surprised this is on my list, but how do I do a top 10 of cartoon shows without or cartoon themes without including the Powerpuff Girls? A very techno-inspired soundtrack, and the entire show sounds like that initial theme with kind of the same backbeat or very similar backbeats all over it. And it's it wonderfully crystallizes the tone and the atmosphere and the sense of fun and the absurdity of that show, of course. And it's one of those shows where the first thing you think of is the narration, sugar, spice, everything nice. But it's got a wonderful earwormy theme that, again, I don't get tired of, and that does a wonderful job going in and out of the score constantly. And like I said, that entire show sounds like that. So if you get sick of that real quick, you're probably not going to be able to get through very much Powerpuff Girls, because that kind of high-octane, super energetic 90s, I can't think of a better word than techno, but kind of electronica music is all through it. And I had a CD in the early 2000s that was a lot of the background music in that show kind of remixed, and that did get old. I couldn't listen to that disc cover to cover too often, DJ, because those tracks were a little bit too lengthy, and after a while, that does start to kind of bang against your head a little bit. But, I don't know, in a 20-minute cartoon, it was fine. But I also, one of the things I really appreciate about that theme is just like the episodes of that show, how much it's able to get done in such a short amount of time. It's got a sting for each of the girls individually, with in the same melody, which right away gives you kind of the archetypes. So you've got the kind of steadfast, heroic version of it, and then you've got the bubbly version of it for Bubbles, and then you've got the more hard edge version of it for Buttercup. It's the same melody 3 times in a row, and then you get into kind of a middle section, almost a bridge of sorts, when the villains show up, and it gets real dark and sinister for a second. And then it gets fun again when they start fighting each other. So there's quite a bit of story happening in its way in the melody of that song. But yeah, it's wonderful, and it definitely had to be a little bit higher than 9 or 10.
Yeah, that's another one that I figured would be on your list. Just being friends with you for so long.
Yep, no way around it. Have you ever actually sat down and watched any of that show?
I have not.
You got it. It's so much fun.
I know.
Robert Wild. I'm sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
Robert Wild, $2 super chat. Danny Phantom had one of my favorite intros, which I remember thinking was cool when we did mini marathon on that.
Huh. I have never watched any Danny Phantom.
Yeah, I liked what I saw of it. And apparently we've got a lot of viewers that really like that show because that stream was really well attended and a lot of people watched it afterwards. And when Austin suggested it, I was like, what is that? I called the stream, what the heck is Danny Phantom? A bunch of people came out of the woodwork for it. They're like, oh my God, you guys are watching Danny Phantom? I'm like, I just found out what that was 6 seconds ago. And Austin was like, see, I told you there's a fan base for this show. I was like, that's crazy. Okay, let's move on to our number 6, and we are officially finishing the show, apparently. So anyway, thanks a lot for bearing with us tonight, folks. This has been a real weird one, and we'll try to get all of our kinks figured out for next time. Go ahead, DJ.
All right. Going dark mode again here. Number 6. Okay, so this might surprise some people. For number 6, I have a 2004 theme song written and performed by The Edge, Irish musician, singer, songwriter, best known as the lead guitarist, keyboardist, and backing vocal for U2. It is.
I should know what this is, shouldn't I?
I don't know. I didn't know it was written by him either, but it is The Batman.
Well, I knew that was going to be on your list. I either didn't know or had forgotten that The Edge did it. Now, you're talking the season 1-2 intro, right?
I am. I do prefer the season 1 and 2 intro. I do actually like the season 3 through 5 though.
Well, how could you not? You like 60s throwback, and that's all that is. It's weird.
Exactly.
It's very 60s Batman, but it fits wonderfully well with that show.
Yes, that one especially with the that one is very 60s, but this one also has the undercurrent of just the guitar riff. And it's very atmospheric.
But that second theme also, not to just talk about that, because I'm sorry, you're trying to talk about the first theme, but I have to say that second theme also has the bass track from 60s Batman. I mean, it does have the da-da-da-da-da, like that is in there.
Yeah, totally. It's cool. It's cool that they went back and went all the way with it. But I actually like the first iteration where that influence, that retro 60s influence is there, but it also has its own very atmospheric vibe to it. You've got the bat sounds going through the whole song, but you do have the guitar riff going all the way through. It's much more low key. It's kind of like the Fantastic Four song that I talked about earlier. It's very laid back and just kind of a groove. And I mean, the Batman, like, it's awesome. I think they took that out of the second one. How do you take that out?
How do you take that out? Yeah, no, it's sad. And the bats flying up with the cut to black, like it's really neat. I don't know why they lost all that. I don't know why they felt the need to change that theme. I mean, I guess they were trying to get in kind of a new crowd, adding some sidekicks and different characters in the later seasons, but I don't think they changed the tone and the feel of that show enough to warrant having to have another intro, even though their second intro is good.
Yeah, it would definitely be in my honorable mentions. I liked it quite a bit, but I don't know why they felt the need to do that, because I like the first one a lot. That's why it is my number 6.
That did very nearly make my list. It would have been 12 or 13.
It's so good. I don't know. I could just listen to that like while driving.
Yeah, I like that guitar riff, and yet it's still Batman enough.
Yeah. I think that song would go perfectly with the Batman film from last year. I think the guitar and the atmosphere, it feels perfect for that movie.
Yeah, there's still, you said laid back, and that's right, and that is that Batman. Like, that's a Batman that doesn't look that tortured, but is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah, his best friend gets turned into Clayface and like brutally murdered almost. Like, he's got some tragic stuff.
But that's a Bruce Wayne, even in the suit, that looks like he should just be hanging around reading a newspaper at Barnes and Noble. Like, it's so weird how just nonchalant and like nothing looks like it phases that guy. That the Jackie Chan version of Batman is.
Yeah.
But there's still this sense, like, it goes so well with that characterization, and yet there's this sense of mystery in it. There is kind of a gothic bent to that song somehow. Like, I don't even know how it works, but there is like a little bit of kind of a, I don't know if I want to say lethargy in it, but but you know what I mean? Like a bit of a melancholy, which is what makes it still a Batman theme. Like you need to have that.
Yeah, it's kind of the same tone as the laid back like version of those rock songs they put in the Batman film.
Deaniver says the show got goofier, and that's why they felt like they had to do the more upbeat 60s.
Maybe so. Maybe with the sidekicks. I think there's some goofiness all the way back.
They still could have gotten away with hanging on to that, at least because they didn't change the aesthetic of it too much. Like it was still that color scheme and that backdrop of Gotham, and that's such an interesting looking show.
Yeah,
it's the most like old Europe Gotham ever looked.
Yeah, I think I like how stylized it is.
I'm glad you put that. I knew you were going to because I knew you liked that show. But I'm glad that I was right because I wanted that to get talked about. But it's definitely my runners up. Yeah, it's like third on my runners up. It's actually right underneath Justice League in my runners up. My number 6 is another one that might surprise some folks. And this was one that I was initially a little bit back and forth about putting on here and then wound up all the way at 6, like that high. But I just think it's that good. And I think it could fit some other kind of darker superhero things as well, which is part of why I picked it. It's just a real iconic sounding melody. Even if you'd never heard it before, you'd listen to it and go, "Oh, this is a real iconic thing." Like I feel like I should know this. It's from 1994, and I mentioned that Disney doesn't have a lot of superhero, but it did have gargoyles. 1994. Bum 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 bum. That has stuck with me forever.
I knew that was going to be on your list. I went back and listened to some of these.
Did you really?
And I didn't, because I knew that you probably considered it superhero, but I didn't listen to this. And what I didn't know, because I never seen this show, I didn't know they changed the theme like 3 times.
Yeah.
There was a lot of themes for this show. So it was hard to even like pick one since I had no connection to the show.
Well,
so
I don't know.
I just left it off because I knew you would.
I don't know what the other ones sound like because I watched some of the first couple seasons when it came on. Most of what I was familiar with that show was the whopping 5-part pilot. It had a movie length pilot that was released on VHS with all the titles axed out of it in between episodes as a movie, and it watches great that way, by the way. That was such a crazy VHS, by the way, because it came with a VCR board game that was shockingly decent and playable, but it was this big thick box because it had pieces for a board game in the back of it. And when you finish the movie, there is, I don't know how there was enough space on this VHS for this, but there's like this I don't know, half hour or a little more like game that you play that you have to watch the footage along with the board game. I had a few of those. I had a few VCR board games. All right, folks, we're back, and DJ's back on his regular machine and won't have to cut away in order to look at his notes now.
Exactly.
Except he just did.
Exactly. Good grief.
So getting back into the list again, let me just finish up Gargoyles real quick, because all I've really talked about is the fact that the theme is kind of gothic, and I had a VHS of it when I was a kid. I need to go back and watch through that show at some point. I started a rewatch when it came, when Disney Plus started, and I never finished that, but I watched maybe the first half of the first season, and somebody in the comments, Matthew Bass said that's not a superhero show, though. I've always considered it close enough. I think it's got a team of characters that certainly didn't start off as superheroes, but that basically, I mean, they're protecting the city. They can only go out at night because they're gargoyles, and that's when they're able to come out of their stone. But that just happens to be when vigilantes tend to do their work, and they fight crime, and they're trying to stop a big evil corrupt businessman who's voiced by Commander Riker from Star Trek, and so so much Star Trek alum in that show, by the way, which is one of the things that appealed to me about it when I was a kid, where I was like, hey, I recognize all these voices. Like, what is Marina Sirtis doing in this? And what is Jonathan Frakes doing in this? And that list goes on and on. Like LeVar Burton's in it somewhere, and yeah, it just there's a ton of Star Trek in it. But anyway, it also was clearly heavily influenced in its art style by Batman the Animated Series. And I think has nearly as good of a soundtrack. Certainly that theme is up to Shirley Walker's caliber, and I adore her, and I love that gothic Batman type stuff. So I would love that theme regardless of the material. But that was such a game changing show at the time. It didn't even feel like it was for kids. There's some goofy stuff in it here and there, but it was really pushing envelopes, and that's one of those shows where you go, wow, I don't know how they got certain things past standards and practices. But it's another show. Like, this has been one of the big themes for this evening, where the sound of that song immediately gets you in the mood for it and sets the tone and tells you what type of thing you were watching. But I also think it could be a Batman theme. It could be like there's a lot of different, kind of darker, harder edged superheroes in that kind of thing that theme might fit.
Yeah, I really need to check that show out, because that seems like it would be right up my alley. I think you dig it. I love fantasy stuff, and I need to wash the taste of the horrible gargoyles from Hunchback of Notre Dame out of my mouth.
Well, and that's kind of more of the sort of fantasy I like, where it's set in the present day, but it's going back to ancient mythologies and bringing them forward. That's always really interesting to me, and that's what that show does. So it ends up being sort of in a weird way, an urban fantasy, but only because it's these like medieval creatures that wind up in a 20th century, present day city.
Well, I want to see the sitcom version where they're just middle-aged gargoyles, kind of like the dinosaur puppet show, just in a little family sitcom situation.
But yeah, so some people might think that I cheated with that one, but I'm gonna put that as firmly in the superhero category as I would something like RoboCop, which, spoiler alert, is not on my list.
Oh.
Either of them or any of them. I know there were at least a couple of RoboCop animated series. If we ever do a worst superhero theme show, though, that second one is probably on there. I mean, maybe that's not fair because it's so funny. I kind of love it. But
yeah,
have you ever listened to that where it's just RoboCop?
Well, there's a lot that we could do for that list. Swamp Thing. Dun, 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 dun,
yep.
Dun. Also, the
Austin and I were just talking about that last night on stream.
Have you heard
You fought everything!
Nasty. Have you
But did you find the second season one?
No, I couldn't find it after you said that. I wanted to.
Yeah, I didn't know if you heard me talk about that, but no, it's nuts because if you missed the show last night, it's nuts because it's like they had the rights or thought they did initially to do it's a parody, so I would think you could still get away with it regardless, but it's Wild Thing, but they make it Swamp Thing. But then, for some reason, and I'm assuming right stuff, in the second season, they just make up this really generic backing track that doesn't remotely go with that, but they kept exactly the same vocals over top of it, and it's completely dissonant, and you can't listen to it. It's horrible.
I want to hear it. I haven't heard it. But another one that would go on that list would be X-Men, this is the day, this is the day. Have you heard that one?
No, that's not the Pride of the X-Men theme, is it?
Yeah, that's the pilot.
Okay, then I have, but it's just been too long, because I have seen that pilot.
It's actually amazing.
Somebody explain to me why Wolverine has an Australian accent in that show.
And not even trying to hide it, just like fully embracing.
You would just think he's Australian.
It's hilarious.
Where did Weapon X happen?
Out in the outback.
Well, that's kind of ironic, given that later he'd be played by an Australian accent who's doing an ostensible Canadian accent, I guess.
We're trying to. He forgets his R's a lot of the time.
That's true. Could be worse, though. He could be that kid's dad from the 1995 Power Rangers movie. Remember that? Okay, are we to number 4?
We are to number 5.
Oh, we're only at number 5 still. Oh yeah, that's right. Because all I've done is keep talking about gargoyles.
Yeah.
Let's watch that sometime. That's a great show. Okay,
Sure,
DJ.
sure. Don't worry, guys. The podcast of this episode is going to be perfect. It's going to be flawless. The podcast version is what you need to listen to.
Yeah, I need to get the rest of those uploaded. DJ, what is your number 5, sir?
My number 5. We are jumping way back.
Have we had any crossover yet?
We have not.
We haven't. You've had stuff that I considered. But
Yeah.
And by the way, you told me that people were going to think your list was weird. So far, your list is not at all weird.
Yeah. I think most of my stuff is pretty mainstream.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I'm just saying, like you haven't shocked me yet with anything.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to shock you, but this one definitely won't, because this is a classic all the way back from 1987. This is where I have the original Ninja Turtles theme. I can't help it.
Wow! I didn't think it would be on your list at all.
I know. I did not grow up with this show, but this is got to be one of the most earwormy songs ever. Like, I can't get this out of my head. This is like intrinsic to my DNA. Like I said, I only had a couple VHS tapes as a kid, but I wore them out. I had Sky Turtles and something with the pizza aliens. I don't even remember the other one, but
yeah.
It was those Burger King VHS tapes.
That is a classic. Yeah, that is a classic episode. And was also in, was it Turtles in Time? One of the beat 'em ups. You fight those.
Yeah. So yeah, I had those Burger King VHS tapes as a kid. I don't know where I got them from, because I don't think I ever went to Burger King. I wasn't a Burger King fan. but yeah, I watched the crap out of those. This song is in my brain. It's been in some of the games too, which I love to play a lot. I'm a huge Turtles fan. Also, my son, I just showed my son the first episode of this show.
Cool.
Last week, and he loves the song. He wants me to play it in the car. I've been listening to these the last couple weeks, and he just keeps telling me to play Turtles over and over. So that might have something to do with it. But yeah, I think it's just a really good song that just gets stuck in your head forever. And composed by Dennis Challen Brown and written by Chuck Lorre.
By Chuck Lorre, yep.
Who you might know for such wonderful sitcoms as 2.5 Men, The Big Bang Theory, and Young Sheldon. Ooh. But he wrote a good Ninja Turtles theme a long time ago, so I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's so nuts he did that, and
so weird.
He produced some cartoons before that too, and then he kind of became the big sitcom guy after that.
Yeah, he took a different path. He took a dark path, but I like where he started. I mean, it's goofy, it's silly, but I don't know. I can't get it out of my head or out of my past. It's just part of me. So I had to put it here. This is one that worked its way up. I thought I was going to put it at like number 9 or around 9 or 10, but listening to it the last couple weeks, I'm like, I never get tired of this. It's great.
Well, it's brilliant advertising. I mean, it's a commercial. Has this ever occurred to you, DJ? One of the smartest things that show does is just, and this is so simple, but because it's catchy and it's fun to sing, you don't think about the repetition of it. But it says the name of the show 3 times in a row, over and over and over again. So, like, you're not going to forget the name of the show. And I think without that, you might, because I mean, like, it's ubiquitous now with superhero stuff and with children's entertainment. But back then, that is a long title. And that was one of the many things that gave, executives and people kind of reservation about that as being a thing that would ever catch on. It's such a long title. Like, really, do you need the Teenage Mutant? Yeah, it turns out you did, or at least it ultimately really helped. Because I mean, I've broken down the title a million times and why I think that whole thing works. But you don't run the danger of it being too long and losing people, where it's like Teenage Mutant. What? Nah, yeah, I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for parents especially.
Yeah.
But no, it totally works. Like I said, this was one that I thought was just going to be obligatory on my list because it's so iconic. I was like, I have to throw it in this somewhere. I'll throw it at the end. But like, just listening to it the last couple weeks, I'm like, no, it's part of me, man. It's number 5 for sure. It's got to be my top 5.
My number 5 is Spectacular Spider-Man from 2008. Nice. And that's not a show that I watched when it was on. I saw it a little bit later, and I still have never gotten all the way through the second season. I need to do that. But it's finally on Disney Plus, is it not? It's on a streaming service right now, finally. I think they did finally get the rights to put that there.
Yeah, I think it is on Disney Plus.
So I need to finally sit down and do that. But it's another mid 2000s kind of rock song. You could say it goes back to even kind of like some mid late 90s sounds, I guess. Like, it's not hard rock, it's not Offspring. It's like, I don't know, dancing around grunge, but it's not a grunge song. Like, I don't really know what exactly what subgenre of rock I would put that in, but it's another just really bouncy, earwormy song that's in a style I like, and I think certainly the visuals of that intro always put it over the top for me, but I would like that song regardless. I always remember just the very end of that intro, where you've got Spider-Man posing and he just does this business. Like,
you don't have your camera on for me, actually.
Oh, I don't?
So I can't see what you're doing,
okay.
but I'm imagining you doing something awesome. Like a flip or something.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, there you go.
But you remember the end of that intro? He's like posing on top of a building or something. And he just does this business.
Yeah.
with his weapon coming out. That's the thing that always stuck with me about the visuals of that. But that's another thing that really uses repetition to its advantage.
Yeah, and I think they're doing some retro stuff with that too, because that whole show kind of has like a retros Art Deco 60s vibe going.
That's an excellent point, yeah. But the style of the music itself is a lot more modern, but maybe there's kind of an undercurrent of like 60s throwback in it.
Yeah, there's dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
No, I'm
there's
with
some
you.
little bit of that.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, the main guitar riff, especially, but not the vocals as much.
No, it's definitely reinventing. Just it's you can see the influence there, but I like the vocals too. They're very different, but I like it.
Yeah, I think you do see a lot of. This is a thing we probably should touch on anyway. The kind of blending of eras and genres that you get in some cartoon music, maybe by design or maybe just subconsciously appealing to multiple generations at the same time. Like how much of that is we're throwing back to the 60s or the 70s because of when Spider-Man first gets real popular on television, and how much of it is we know that some like adult Spider-Man fans are going to want to watch this, and then how much of it is the people making it are making stuff that kids will like, but what they want also. I mean, that's what Brave and the Bold was.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a lot what it is. You're going to make a show that you enjoy making, because and it's interesting how that doesn't go back to the 90s stuff at all. It just goes jumps right over to the 60s.
Yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man is really neat in how it does kind of the Brave and the Bold thing, but without being like as kitschy and parody driven. Like that's a story-wise, that's a pretty serious show, but it looks a lot more like throwbacky and Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, the art style's much more cartoony,
which put a lot of us off in the first place. The first time I saw the like stills of that art style, I was like, I'm not gonna watch that. And then it came out and I heard that theme song and I had to.
Yeah, I remember there was like I think that was the trailer, was just like that first scene where he was like talking about his summer, and it was just that song and him swinging around, and it looked like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
I think so. Maybe I'm making that up, but that's what I remember.
No, I think you're right about that. But yeah, I ultimately was really won over by that flat art style. See, we can't help but just start talking about the shows.
Yeah, we're supposed to be just talking about the music, but no, it's great. Everyone knows. We don't need to talk about that. Everyone knows that show's great.
So I'm going to assume that will be one of our first bits of crossover, but let's see what your number 4 actually is. Go ahead, DJ.
All right, for my number 4, I totally had the Turtles here, and I forgot to
see, I wish I'd thought to do that, because I have box sets of almost everything here. Maybe everything but Gargoyle. I don't have a Gargoyles.
Oh, they should put out a nice box set of that.
I wish they would, but it's on Disney Plus, so they probably won't.
All right, speaking of things, that will never get a release, but I happen
Or
to
at least
have
like a new one that's everything, because I think there were Gargoyles DVD box sets, for the
Yeah,
record, because
I'm
somebody's
sure
going to
there were.
mention that. But I mean, it'd be nice if they did one for the whole series. Not that anybody cares about Goliath Chronicles, but anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
All right, so this will never get a physical release, but I happen to have a bootleg version because I like this a lot. We're going all the way back. I said we were going back with the 80s. We're actually going all the way to 1966, the first TV series based on Marvel characters. It was an umbrella series, 30-minute episodes made up of 5 7-minute segments. It's the Marvel Superheroes, made up of the Invincible Iron Man, the Mighty Thor, Captain America, the Incredible Hulk, and the Submariner. We don't need to talk about the Submariner.
Okay, but
so-
can you put all of the themes together? They each had one.
I know. So you might say this is kind of a cheat.
It is a cheat. This is part of the reason I didn't do any of that, because I was like, I can't pick one. Like,
I can't either because they are
the Thor
great.
Mighty Hammer thing is one of the funniest lyrics ever. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so this is kind of 4 theme songs, but they're all super short. They're like 15 seconds. But yeah, it's basically, it's one show though. It was one show called The Marvel Superheroes. It ran from 1966. There was 65 30-minute episodes, and they all ran from September to December of 1966. They crammed them in there, and then it was gone. So very sad. But the dude who put these together, Jacques Urbon, is the guy who wrote all the theme songs for the show. He met Stan Lee. He asked Stan Lee for some comics, and within a week, he had written all 5 of the songs, and they're so good. If you haven't listened to these, go listen to them. He somehow captures what makes these heroes great in like these short little 15-second songs. They're very, very classic 60s sounding songs. You've probably heard some of them, like when Captain America throws his mighty shield, like that. If you've heard that, that's the Captain America one. I love the Captain America one and the Hulk one are my 2 favorites, I think. The Thor one is amazing. Even Iron Man has a really cool one, but I don't know. This is another one where I've been watching the show with my son, and I will never skip these theme songs. I sing them all the time with him, and they're stuck in my brain forever. This is another one that I thought was going to be a little lower, but it kept working its way up because they just make me so happy every time I listen to them. It's perfect retro 60s Marvel, and I think they're really, really good. And this guy was just like a off-Broadway composer, and he just did this one thing. This is like what he's known for now, and it was very weird. But they're very strange, and I like them a lot. And this is, like I said, this is a bootleg version. I don't think this will ever get released. This will never be on Disney Plus. But
that's a nice looking bootleg, though. I've got one kind of like that for X-Men from years ago before they actually put those out.
Yeah. So, but these are all on YouTube. You can check out the songs. Just type in 60 or Marvel Superheroes Captain America song or whatever. But yeah, I've been listening to them a lot. They're great.
No, isn't it interesting how they're simultaneously? I don't think you could argue that they're not well written and they don't do their job, but they're also really funny. Like, they're kind of hokey. It's hard not to make fun of them, but then they're also quite well written.
Yeah, they're very clever, and they get a lot of the lore and the backstory in really quickly.
Yeah, those are more themes that tell you what the story is going to be about.
Yeah, exactly. They're really good. I don't want to just. I do want to just sing them, but I won't. You have to look them up on YouTube. But they're so funny.
Yeah, Dan would approve, absolutely. Okay, my number 4 is the 87 Ninja Turtles theme. I had it just one above yours.
Yeah, I figured you would.
It's almost right there with you.
I guess I could have left that one off because I figured you would have had it on there, but I felt like I had to be true to myself. But it's great.
Yeah. Well, and it etched out the 03 Turtles theme for me just because I had a lot of other kinds of things I wanted to put here. And it's more... I guess, like I said, one of my big criteria was it had to be earwormy and be in my head forever. And while I really like the 03 song, it doesn't have that as much just because, like you said, it's so spoken word. I guess it's the main reason I left it off, but I mean, it's in my runners-up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just iconic. Like that's how I feel. I feel like these 60s Marvel songs are iconic. And they would be if more people had heard of them. But everyone's heard of the Ninja Turtles theme.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that more of that didn't stick around like the 60s Spider-Man theme did, because I think it also really encapsulates somehow the kind of like feel and I don't know what word I'm looking for, but the feel of the 60s comics that was kind of in the air at the time. Like if that had a sound off the page, the way Stan Lee and those guys were writing it, that's what it would sound like. That's the flavor of it.
Yeah, and this show, if you don't know, is basically just like almost a motion comic. Like it's very, very limited animation. This is before Spider-Man. But I think all of those themes could have been expanded to full songs like the Spider-Man song if they had got full shows. But since they're 7-minute episodes, they
just take Ditko Art and all those guys and put it on screen and get it to slightly move.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of the video, I learned something about myself. I apparently just like 60s stuff and 60s throwback stuff and turtles.
That's a thing we have in common.
But yeah, I don't think it's just that it's not that I like 60s stuff. Like I don't like James Bond or like I don't like spy stuff. But with superhero,
I'm not a big spy guy either, though.
With superhero, 60s feels it just works. It just fits with superhero specifically. But anyway, Ninja Turtles. Sorry.
I need to show you Danger Diabolic. That was the other movie I almost brought with me when I went to your place last year.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure I'll love that.
And it borrows a lot from spy stuff, but just trust me, you'll like that movie. Okay, my number. Oh, sorry. You got to do your number 3 now, because we already talked about Ninja Turtles, so I don't feel the need to go over that again.
All right, continuing my broken record, because this also has a good bit of 60s throwback to it, and more so than I remembered, even in the art style. Although there is a lot of other influence, which is what I think makes this one so unique, and I like it a lot. This is probably the strangest thing on my list, but it's something I watched a bunch with my brothers. It's 2003's Teen Titans. Teen Titans. What a oddball, crazy, like you got this really, like, it's kind of 60s Batman-esque with the way they do the theme song and the guitar riff, but then let's just have a Japanese duo sing this one for some reason, because we've got some Japanese influence in the animation.
It's smart because it looks a little anime inspired, yeah.
Yeah. And it works. It's so like I said, it's just interesting because it's so different, and I'm
surprised. So I said you hadn't shocked me yet. I'm not shocked that's on your list, but I'm a little surprised it's that high.
I really, really like it. I don't know why. This is.
Do you have nostalgia for that show? Like, did you watch that when it was on? Because that's more your era, and I feel like I would have had to grow up with that show for it to hit me enough to put it on my list.
Yes. So this is one that I watched with my brother all the way through. This and the Batman were the ones he actually bought all of these on DVD as they were coming out, and I watched all of this with him. But I've never gone back to this show. I don't have much nostalgia for the show. I don't go back to the show, but the song for some reason really holds up to me. And this is one that has a full version of the song, and it also has a full Japanese translation of the song, which is fun that they played on some episodes. But yeah, it's written by Andy Sturmer, and it's performed by, I'm going to butcher these names, but Ami Anuki and Yumi Yoshimura. And I don't know how to explain it. If you haven't heard it, it's got a sick 60s guitar riff, and
there's nothing else exactly like that. So.
I know. I don't know how to explain it, but go listen to it because it's very, very cool.
Well, it's basically J-pop.
Yeah, which I've never listened to, so this would be my introduction to that. But
like, tell me in the comments if you think I'm wrong about that, or at least it's real. It's dancing around that. It's real inspired by J-pop.
Yeah, it's got like this kind of.
Those have got to be J-pop singers.
Yeah, and then it's kind of call and responsey. Like it does a line, and then it'll say Teen Titans. I think they also did they came back and did the song for Teen Titans Go too, right?
Is that right?
I think I saw that. I obviously never watched that show, so I don't know how well that song works there. It's probably a little bit different, but yeah, I don't know. This is and also we're not talking about the intros at all, but there's a very cool like typographical intro that's not pulling directly from the episodes. That's just like this cool typography thing that goes to the intro that goes really well with it. It's very colorful. I don't know. It's unique. It's not. You wouldn't think it'd be my thing, but I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely not mine. But the couple of episodes I've seen of that, like I get why kids that grew up with it loved it. I have a hard time getting into it now. Although I guess it's. And I'm hesitating because people have been trying to get me to watch through that show for years, and I have not really been inclined to do that. But I have been watching more anime lately, and some of the kind of exaggerated comedy and that kind of stuff doesn't like bug me and put me off as much as it used to. So I certainly wouldn't have a hard time sitting through it now, but it's not exactly my thing. Like,
yeah, and definitely, like I said, the song. It lasted much longer with me than the show did. I haven't gone back to the show, but the song's fun. Even my wife, even playing the song, like I said, I've been playing these in the car. She liked that one. She's like, oh, that one's kind of catchy.
She's like, could you please stop making us listen to cartoon songs all the time? It'd be like if we were driving around listening to like butter jingles. Just stop it.
Well, it was interesting to get her take because she didn't grow up with any of these shows.
Yeah.
So hearing her just unfiltered kind of reaction to these for the first time was fun,
especially out of context.
Yeah, because she doesn't even know what Teen Titans is.
Not even seeing what it, any of the character models or the animation or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get even more into stuff that will not surprise anybody, being super high on my list, of course. And I think it's, I say this with a lot of lists. I think these top three could kind of be in any order. This easily could have been my number one, but nobody's going to be surprised, of course, that I had to put the animated Tick intro song here. And not just because, of course, I love the Tick and I love that show, but that's one of those shows where the music does have some percentage to do with my love of that show. It should be impossible to take that character off the page and give me a song that, like, come up with music that encapsulates that and perfectly translates that comedy to score, but it does. It's really impressive. So that show comes out in 1994, and like to me, that's what the Tick sounds like. It got a video game which is not very good, but a lot of the score from that show is in chiptune and actually sounds pretty good, particularly on the Genesis. But when I'm playing that, when I was, I mean, I don't go back to it because it's not a very good game. But when I was playing that game, it really feels like you're very much in that world, and it's a blend of the cartoon show and the comics, and it really feels like if the comic book had a soundtrack, that would be its soundtrack. But anyway, it's real jazzy.
Yeah,
and
I was gonna say it's very jazzy. It's I don't know if. Does your love of jazz maybe come from that, or is that just a coincidence that you also love jazz and love the Tick, and it just happen to have that?
I want to say it's a coincidence, and that helps like slide me into that show. That has something to do with the quirky comedy sensibilities of that. Obviously, have a lot to do with it. Although I think I was more molded by that show than like in developing some of those sensibilities than anything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think I grew up with jazz. I think even when I was a kid, when I got to that, I probably already liked that style of music.
Oh, cool. That's such a cool happy accident then. That's awesome.
But it's in my mind, it's a very iconic melody and and it feels like a jazz standard. Dut dwee dut 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 dwee dow.
Yeah, it's kind of scatting.
Yes. Well, there's a ton of scat all over that soundtrack. Not just the opening, but that whole show. That was written by a guy named Doug Katsaros, who did a lot of after-school special music. That was kind of the main thing he was doing in the 80s. And he is mostly a composer and keyboardist. And I guess these days he does... I don't know if he's working on any film music or any of that kind of stuff, but I guess he's a guy that you can go to and commission work from. So he's a little bit like what's his name, the Incompetent guy. Where he's writing music for like independent projects and things. But recently, he managed to get the original animated Tick soundtrack on Spotify, and I never thought we'd get that music apart from the show. And for me, it was a big deal, and it's really well put together. It's in high quality. I guess he had masters, sort of like Wasserman, except he didn't redo them. I don't think. I think it was all like the original masters. I assume when you listen to it, it sounds like it must be what they made for that show and not new stuff. But there's a lot of really cool, like, background incidental stuff that he does for that show that I always wanted to hear apart from the dialogue and any action over it. Particularly a couple of like songs that are supposed to be that are like playing on the radio that have really amusing lyrics, but you can only pick out like bits and pieces of it. So there's, and like now I've heard all the lyrics. And it's so cool to get that. There's an episode. It's the second El Cid episode. It's in season 2, where there's the what is it, the 500-year bloom, 400-year bloom, I can't remember, but it's a plant that's sitting on a windowsill, and if you're not playing music to it, it turns into a giant plant monster. And so it always has to have music playing, and there's this bit where we're hearing music on the radio that is a love song about the moon getting a bite taken out of it, which happens earlier in the season in Alone Together, and it's, I'll take a bite of the moon for you, and it's hilarious. But I was always like, God, I want to hear the rest of the lyrics. Now I have. It exists. It's on Spotify. Anyway, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a crime how much of this stuff hasn't been released.
Yeah.
Ever. Like movie scores.
But that song is so weird and quirky, and it's like Ben Edlund. If he was a songwriter, it's what he would write.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what you want. You want the creator. You want it to match. That's what a lot of these that we've been talking about, the ones that match the most with the show, are the ones that stick with us.
And just all the bizarre vocals. And again, the whole show sounds like that. And like it uses that melody quite a bit in the score, but there's a lot of, other stuff too. And even the more like, urgent action music still is in line with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it does not get much better than that for me, and I could have made that my number one.
That's cool.
I didn't, but I could have.
All right. Well, my number 2 is where we have one more bit of crossover.
We're nearly there, and they haven't cut us off yet. So the internet has not cut us off yet.
I know. We've been going for a long time, and I'm trying to get through it without a break here, but it's been a while. My number 2 is already been talked about. Crossover with yours. I was a little silent while you were talking. Hopefully, it wasn't too obvious. It's Spectacular Spider-Man. It's so good.
I did the same thing when you were talking about Ninja Turtles.
I love it so much.
God, that box set is so cool. Is that the new one? Because didn't they re-release it?
I got this all the way back in 2014.
Oh wow!
It's
so shiny.
It's both seasons. It's got a nice shiny holographic slipcover.
Very good. I need to order that. I may have a season of that show on DVD, but I need to get that set.
Yeah, it's got all the villains mural back there. Very cool. This is performed by the alt rock band from Los Angeles, the Tinderbox, which I can't find anything else about, but I know they did this great song, and I like it a lot. It's super catchy. This is another one that my wife was like, yeah, that's really cool, even though she had never heard it before. And it's not the same era as Teen Titans and the Batman. It's a little bit later. It's closer actually to the Avengers one, but it is very different.
And it's the same year Brave and the Bold comes out.
Ah, yes.
That's 2008. That's the year I got married.
Oh. Well, there you go. I don't have anything else to say. Everyone else knows about this show, but that is my number 2. Had to. Spider-Man's my favorite. Spider-Man's my guy, and I'll never. That one also has an extended version too, which you should listen to because it's great.
Okay, so my number 2 is going to be kind of a surprise to some people, although somebody did call it impressively real early on in the show, back before we started wondering if we were going to be able to finish the show. So So, like I said at the beginning, I did not put the Batman the Animated Series theme on the list, and felt kind of funky about that, but I felt like I had good reasons not to, and especially because I managed to get Shirley Walker in here anyway, and real close to the top. So this is a theme from a show that is barely a show, because it was
I'm so sorry. I have to take a real quick break. Keep going.
Yeah, no problem. And there he goes. But this was a compilation show that had sometimes new episodes, but usually like archived stuff, reruns. But this is from 1997, and it's the new Batman Superman Adventures. And of all of the, which again is so weird because it was only sort of its own show. It included some new episodes of the New Adventures of Batman when they stopped using that branding, and then there were some new episodes of Superman that that we now consider the third season of that show. And a lot of people, when that was on, were kind of confused and assumed that it was Batman and Superman together, but that of course ended up happening with the World's Finest special, which was in Superman. But the new Batman Superman Adventures wasn't the two of them together in a show, but sometimes you got Batman, sometimes you got Superman. They didn't even really have to have necessarily a special theme for it. Like, they easily could have just, had that umbrella, and then if you watched Superman, you got the Superman intro, and if you watched Batman, you got the Batman intro. But instead, we got what I think is maybe, apart from the Elfman-inspired animated series intro, the best thing in the DC AU, including Justice League, which you put on your list, and which, like I said, was a runner-up. I kind of wanted to include it, but I had so many other like things I wanted to represent on this list. I went, I'm gonna pick one, and if I'm only gonna pick one, it's gonna be New Batman Superman Adventures. Bum 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 ba-da-da. What's great about that theme...
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard that one. That's cool.
It is perfectly 50-50 Batman and Superman, and it's just wonderful. It gets real... It gets dark when it needs to, and it gets bright and optimistic when it needs to, and you can just tell the places where... It's like she married two separate Batman and Superman themes that existed already, but they didn't. It's all a brand new theme, and so when it starts in kind of a darker, more melancholy place, and then it gets real triumphant in the middle, and then it has this section right toward the end where it starts to sound real mysterious and kind of, I keep throwing around the word gothic, but kind of darker again, not bleak, but just what's gonna happen, and then it gets it gets real stalwart at the end again, and has kind of a classic ba-da-dum, sort of sting, but it always made me wish that show had been a World's Finest show and had the two of them together, because it feels like that's what the show is supposed to be. Like, you're listening to that theme, and you're like, oh, good, it's Batman and Superman. They're going to go on adventures together. Oh, nope. No, they're not. But it still works because, you got one or the other, and it fits wonderfully well for both. But it's so crazy. That show didn't even have to have a theme, and it's my favorite of them. And always was. Like, it stuck with me all this time, and it's never used anymore. Like, you don't get it in anything. None of the box sets have it. Like, I wouldn't know about this if I hadn't grown up with it. If it wasn't, like if I wasn't the age I was, watching it on TV, I would never know about that unless I stumbled upon it, on a YouTube video or something. And it's number 2 on my list.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I'm glad you got some of the DCAU on there, though, because it's like you said, it's tough once you go down that DCAU rabbit hole. Like, how does that not just take over your whole list? But I'm glad we each got one on there,
because it was hard not to put Superman there too, because it's another really good Superman theme where, like, how do you it's brilliant that you could go to, I gotta mention this real quick since I didn't put it on my list, it is a runner-up, but it's brilliant that you could do the same thing John Williams did and not sound at all like John Williams. Like, you still get the melody that sounds like Superman should be a lyric in it, but it's ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, and it's wonderful, and it honestly is good enough it could have been the John Williams theme. I'll go that far.
Well, Superman is...
Like, if he'd thought of that, it might still be as iconic.
Yeah. Well, Superman is, like, fraught with iconic... like, if... This isn't a TV show. It's the only reason it's not on my list. But if we were including, like, animated shorts, the original Superman Fleischer theme would be on my list. I love that theme. I love that. And I would also try to figure out some way to classify Popeye as a superhero, so I can get some the Popeye theme song in there too. But those are not TV shows, so they are not on my list. But yeah, that dun 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 dun, that's great too.
No, absolutely. Dun dun.
I love that. I love Fleischer so much. Been watching the Popeye cartoons with my son recently, the Fleischer ones. But yeah, I'm glad you got some DCAU on there. I don't know. I'm not, like you said, I'm not familiar with that one.
See, this is why I wish we could play stuff. I knew I was going to have at least 2 things here that you wouldn't have found even in your research.
Yeah, I can't remember. I watched a big, really long YouTube video that was all the DC 90s, or that was all the DC stuff going all the way back. And
well, it's possible it was in there and you just don't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, it might have been in there, but all those in a row, it was hard for them to stand out to me.
Well, no, absolutely, especially because some of them are in some of the same vein, even if they don't sound just like each other. Like, you know, they're not really meant to be listened to in a stream like that.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be an album.
Yeah.
But cool. That's
okay, I guess we're to our number ones.
All right, well.
I don't have a sense of yours yet. I feel like I should. Well, yeah, I think I do know what it is.
I feel like it's obvious.
So I know what it has to be, and it was another one of those that was almost on my list, and I went, I've got that kind of thing represented enough, but I want to put it there, but yeah. I had the exact same problem I did with DCAU.
Yeah. So I didn't want to put too much of this guy on the list, but I had to get it on here. It's my favorite superhero. It is apparently my favorite decade for superhero sound. It's 60s. He's been right here the whole time. He is the 67 Spider-Man
Okay,
show.
I was wrong. I actually thought you were going to go with the 90s one over that one.
Wow.
I nearly did. I nearly put that on my list. And the only reason I wouldn't do that one is just because I didn't grow up with it, and I didn't fully have that until, like, the Raimi movie, you know? Like.
Okay. Yeah, so it's the 60s Spider-Man theme. This is probably...
That is a really rare box set, by the way, and DJ and I both have one.
That's true. It's stupid expensive right now. I don't know why. I wish they would put this out on Blu-ray or even another DVD set, but this is the only one we got. And yeah, this is iconic, man. I mean, you can't get away from it. Every live-action version of Spider-Man has used this theme in their movies, even in the actual orchestral score with Homecoming. But it's the most catchy theme song ever. It's been covered 1,000 times, and I can't stop singing it. My son loves it. I sing it all the time with him. I love the song. I love the show, but I think the song even outlasts the show, which is the case with a lot of my stuff, I guess. At least the older stuff, the 60s stuff. But yeah, I think it's even more iconic than the Turtles theme for me. I think it is. I think it's the best superhero animated song, because that's why it's my number one.
That's totally fair, man.
It's just I can't even like say a line of it without just singing the whole thing. But yeah, but it's hard to actually explain why. I don't know if it's just like intrinsic to my DNA, but I think it just really is a really well written song that, like you said, explains everything you need to know about the character, and it's just super catchy. And it also has it's a little atmospheric. It gives him a little kind of like a darker Spider-Man vibe, like he's more working in the shadows, especially the second verse, in the thrill of night.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because I mean it's a real happy, bouncy style of music. But
yeah,
if you're listening to the chord progression, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Everybody knows the Spider-Man theme. It's like you can't. Everyone can sing it. Like even if you didn't watch this show, it's been used everywhere.
Well, and again, it's so indicative, just like the other themes you were talking about with those other 60s Spider-Man shows.
Yeah, yeah. And I think
It's so indicative of the Stan Lee period of Marvel.
yeah, it just feels straight off the page. And I will
Or
say
like
that
somebody
is,
reached into his head, and that's what
yeah.
he would write if he was a music writer, right?
Yeah, well, and there's an interview with Stan Lee when he was talking about the not this one, but the other Marvel shows. He was always like angry and kicking himself that he didn't write those themes because he thought they were just brilliant and they were perfect. And I think this one absolutely is too. Except this one's a full minute and it's great. And I will say that's the reason why I went with this over this and Spectacular over the '90s show. I felt like that when I sat down and write this list, I was like, okay, '90s has got to go on there for nostalgia.
I thought it was going to make mine too.
But that is not as burned into my brain as that is because I listened to it a million times as a kid. That's not what I want. That's not what I think Spider-Man should sound like. Like it's loud and guitar and there's explosions every 2 seconds and it's
Yeah. And that's what Spider-Man was for me when I first was introduced to it, which I've talked about a million times. And so there's a part of me where it's like, no, I want my like super muscular, you know, like giant-eyed, contorted McFarlane Spider-Man, and that's what he sounds like. But yeah, that's probably not the definitive version.
Yeah, I think the actual '60s bop and then the like retro '60s guitar riff, these both go with Spider-Man perfectly. And I didn't need another Spider-Man on my list. I think these two are exactly what I want for my Spider-Man.
Well, and even still, the '90s show was throwing back to that a little bit too, just with the Spider-Man. Like it's not going to have that vocal if it's not for the '60s show.
Yeah. They couldn't get away from it. That's how iconic it is. So
I wish we had, and maybe it exists and I don't know about it, but I wish we had a release. You know, high definition quality release of the '90s Spider-Man song that doesn't have explosions in it.
Yeah, you can't even listen to it without.
It's obnoxious.
It's really obnoxious and it's just constant. But it does. I mean, that has a cool, crazy like metal guitar riff in that. But yeah, I'm going with '60s. I'm sticking with it.
Obviously, solid choice. I felt weird leaving it off, but we only had 10 spots.
Yeah,
and again, I didn't grow up with that show.
Yeah.
You know why the I'm gonna say this is the only reason. You know why the and it's not, but you know why the Batman the Animated Series intro was classier than the Spider-Man intro? Because it has one explosion, and instead of using a sound effect, it's just part of the score. It's a percussion sting. Why couldn't they have found a way to do that in the '90s show? I mean, I know you still would have had to figure out how to put 45 of them in there.
It's because it's just guitar, so and drums. I guess you could have put some kind of like it would have just been a cymbal the whole time. It would have just been like explosion, 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 explosion.
Okay, well, you can probably guess what mine is.
Oh, what have you not listed yet? You've hit all the big ones. Like I knew Tick was going to be there.
I'm watching him sweat right now.
I suspected Space Ghost, and I knew Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, you expected Space Ghost?
Yeah, you've talked about that enough.
I love that theme.
But I didn't know if it had a cool theme or not, so I was on the fence. But what have you not mentioned that's your favorite thing? And you said there's no more Batman.
Yeah. So part of the reason that I didn't include '90s Spider-Man is because there was something else too close to that vein. Yeah. And like I said, my top 3, it could have been in any order, but how do I not give Wasserman the top spot for X-Men, man? I gotta. And I mean, I think I at this point am probably more enamored with Ottman's even more at this point. But for animation, yeah, I mean that was not just a super nostalgic thing and a show that I grew up on like a lot of kids my age, and that was one of the things that really sucks you into that show, is just it had a sound all its own, and it was very of the time. It's very, you know, hard edge 90s metal, certainly, but it still gave you this this kind of flavor, sort of like Power Rangers did, where it still was like a flavor all its own, and you couldn't imagine it in anything else, and it's this kind of difficult to articulate kind of vibe that that you get with the action and the kind of, you know, melodrama of that show that starts with that theme. But it's also just some really good guitar work, man. Like, I love me a good guitar, a good electric guitar riff and solos and stuff. And
that's basically all it is that one riff, and then there's the dun 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 part, and then it just restarts and does it again.
And the bell, man.
Yeah.
That really clenches it when you get to the end and you get bottom ding. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like a shimmer like sound. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I do the shimmer sound, but there's also maybe it's earlier. There's also just handbells in that song.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, everybody loves that one. That one is like, that's like normies know that one. Even that like not geeky people, they're like, oh yeah, X-Men.
It's because it's that good, DJ.
Yeah. I'm not begrudging it. I'm glad it's on your list. I should have known. I knew, like, that was one that I knew you were gonna put. That, like, when I was thinking about my list, I was like, okay, Cap's got to have this one. I did do a little bit of that, like, this one doesn't probably need to be brought up, but yeah, I'm so glad. I didn't know it would be your number one though. I knew it'd be on your list, but I didn't know it'd be number one. That's great.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. And again, it'd be number two if I was including the other Shirley Walker piece, but. So I've mentioned most of my other runners-up. Did you have any runners-up? Because I know you said that this was kind of harder to compile for you than it was me, but...
Yeah, I think I have mentioned my runners-up as I went along. Like, 90s Spider-Man was on the list for a little bit. Even 90s X-Men was on the list for a little bit. The second...
See, because it's that good. Like, I get that that's not as big of a deal to you and not a show that you watched, but... But it's such a good melody, man.
Yeah, it was on the list for a bit. I almost mentioned, I did mention the second iteration of the Batman I like a lot.
Yeah.
And a weird one that is, it's very strange. It's another Spider-Man one is the Spider-Man Unlimited, which is all techno because we're in the 2000s at that point, and it sounds nothing like the
I don't
90s
love
version.
that theme. That's a weird one.
I don't love it, but I like that it goes with the show, which I don't like either. But it's got like this tribal kind of animalistic sound to it, and that show's all about these like animal people on another planet, which is not my thing at all, and I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either.
I like that they went for it and kind of made a theme that matched it.
We were so obsessed with mutates in the late 90s.
I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was.
Everything. Even Batman Beyond did it. Because Batman Beyond had this idea in the future where, I'm just explaining this to DJ because he hasn't seen that show, but instead of like tattoos and piercings, the big new fad, the vice that all the teenagers were getting into is splicing, where you like do genetic manipulation or engineering on yourself and you give yourself like parts of a cheetah or an elephant or something.
Yeah, that's definitely the vibe they're going with Unlimited, and I think it works for that. But yeah,
why was that not just a $20.99 show?
You'll
never be able to explain that to me. That's what it should have been.
Makes no sense. Why would you create another non-comic book future Spider-Man when you have one?
Yeah, and contrive a way to make it look sort of like a future, but it's a different planet. And... Stop it.
Such a waste. That could have been a really cool show. I'd be happy if we just had one short season of a Spider-Man 2099 show like that, just 13 episodes. That'd be great.
It'd be great, yeah. Of course, they expected it to keep going. It's not like they set out to make one season of a show, but yeah.
Especially because that's my favorite Spider-Man voice, Rhino Romano. He's great.
Yeah.
Such a missed opportunity. Hopefully we get that eventually. But yeah. That was never
you would have
like
had to have a different voice because that's probably not what you'd want for Spider-Man 2099, but yeah.
That's my Peter Parker voice. That's not my Miguel O'Hara voice.
Yeah, we don't really have a definitive Miguel O'Hara yet. We're about to get a Miguel O'Hara, but
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who did it in the video games.
The Edge of Time game I've heard is wonderful, so I should. I never played through that one. I played Shattered Dimensions. He's in that too, but I'm assuming it's the same voice.
Yeah, didn't Peter David write that second game?
Yes.
Am I right about that? I own it. I've never played through it. I want to play Shattered Dimensions again before I do that, but
yeah.
And yeah. I think I own those both now.
Shattered Dimensions is fun. I think Edge of Time is supposed to be the better story though, because it just focuses on two, and it's just a future story instead of a dimensional story.
Well, and I think the first one was written by Dan Slott.
Yeah, I just like playing as different Spider-Man. I don't even pay
No,
attention.
I know.
to
I'm
the
just
story
saying
now.
that, like, no offense to anybody that really likes Dan Slott, but when you've got a game written by Peter David and a game written by Dan Slott, the better story is probably going to be the Peter David one with fewer characters.
Yeah.
That's based on the character that he created. But yeah, was that all your runners up?
Yeah, I didn't have any too many honorable mentions. I narrowed it down to my top favorites.
So I did mention some of these, again, 90 Spider-Man, Superman TAS, Justice League. I'm so glad you put that on yours because I felt weird about not having it on mine. The Batman Season 1 was really difficult to leave off. Batman Beyond was tough. Once again, it's real hard-edged electric guitar rock, and I had X-Men already, and I got a DCAU one in there, and I would have had to leave off Gargoyles or something to include that, which some people are probably thinking I should have done anyway because they might not consider it a superhero show. But yeah, and let's just say if Gargoyles wasn't there, the one that probably winds up on the list, especially knowing what DJ's list is now, is probably Batman Beyond, if not Superman. One of those. But the other two that I did not mention that I had a tough time leaving off were Freakazoid, another Warner Brothers show, Freakazoid, which was in the tradition of the Spielberg Warner Brothers shows. So it's like Tiny Toons and Animaniacs, was written a lot like those kinds of themes, but was a superhero thing. So a lot of lyrics, real fast, real energetic, and very, very funny. And Freakazoid is a bizarre show that I don't understand how it ever made it onto television because it has precisely zero structure for most of those shows. It's like Space Ghost Coast to Coast if it wasn't a talk show. It's almost that bizarre and random. And then, but was kind of more mainstream than that. Weird. But also Captain Planet. Captain Planet, he's a hero, gonna take pollution down to zero. That's another thing that I grew up with. And had, kind of like Powerpuff Girls, just as good, if not better, closing song than an opening song.
Oh, cool. Like a different one? It wasn't just the instrumental version?
Yeah, it's a little different.
That's cool. A lot of times they just
because it had a rap in it.
Of course it did.
Because saving our planet is the thing to do. Looting and polluting is not the way. Hear what Captain Planet has to say.
Demonetized.
Yeah. You rapped too long. You didn't write those lyrics.
I'll throw out a super chat that Robert threw out a while ago.
Yes,
He said,
thank you. I missed that.
Don't forget Saturday Morning Watchmen.
Yeah, that wasn't a real show. But if it was, that would have absolutely been on my list because that song is amazing. Adrian, the Reds are polluting the lake.
I wish they would do more of those. I wish they would have done more of those for other comic book things.
Yeah, like other Vertigo type things and Hard Edge Comics.
The V for Vendetta one.
The 30 Days of Night cartoon show. The list goes on.
Yeah, of course, Robert. If you guys haven't heard, don't Saturday Morning Watchmen, check it out.
The iVampire
great
cartoon show. Yeah, V for Vendetta, the animated series. That's great. Yeah. John can give you cancer, and he turns into a car. So good. Yeah, I was especially that Universe that Powerpuff Girls has a different ending credit song. Well, that is going to do it for us tonight. Thanks so very much for listening to another exciting episode and a fraught with technical difficulties episode.
Wow, we did it. I've never felt so accomplished doing one of these
Me
streams.
too, because there were about 3 times during the show where I thought we were just going to have to abort it and start over a different day. I'm really glad we didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking with me, DJ, and trying to make it work out.
Of course. I love talking about this stuff with you. And I'll see you next time for our, hopefully, smoother music show. Whatever
Yeah,
we talk about next time.
Yeah, hopefully. So this being Rewind, let me do my closing spiel because I got things I got to bring up here. But once again, thanks everybody for bearing with us with this, and we'll try to edit this down later on when YouTube finally allows us to. I don't know why it does that with live streams where you have to wait a day before you can change it. But anyway, so I'll try to put timestamps in the description so that people can jump around. But anyway, thanks a bunch as always to our patrons, and if you would like to become a patron, especially at the $10 tier to become a Superhero Rewind producer, which gets you a lot of neat perks. You can go to Superhero. We should have a Superhero Rewind website. You can go to patreon.com/geekvolution, and at the $10 tier, you can help me pick stuff for Rewind, and you can join the Discord and talk with us there. We meet once a month to talk superhero movies and sometimes even watch them. And next month, I think we're going to be watching Logan. So if you want to do a viewing of Logan with me and some of our magnanimous patrons, we usually have a good 8 to 10 people in that crowd, which is great. But there's room for a few more. So if you want to pop in, join us there. And once again, patreon.com/geekvolution. And I always say thanks to our Patreon producers. And at the end of the show, and of course, I really appreciate everybody at every tier, but I especially want to call out our producers, including Bill Mills, Blake, Chewbacca's Lover, David Crabtree, Elliot Slater, Goofster123, Hayden Spring, Hot Soup, Jeff Niederhofer, Joe Turner, Joe Gira, Joshua Gilisano, Matt Bat68, Michael Martin, SS Jerry, Stone Gasman, Super Billy, Thomas Edgehill, Adam March, Checkers the Inventor, Damon Begay, Jacob Schneider, Justin Hayes, Kareem Roberts, Matthew Brody, Michael Austin Gulick, Miguel Rodriguez, The Day Ghost, Unknown Passenger, Wendell Jones, and Zach. No last name, just Zach. Appreciate you guys, and once again, all of the patrons, and you guys just for watching, of course. And next time on Superhero Rewind, I'm going to get into some re-reviews. I'm going to be doing some revisited reviews chosen by some top super chatters from the second 24-hour stream that we did on the DCAU. And the movie in question for next time is going to be The Shadow, which I reviewed a bazillion years ago on Superhero Rewind. And I'm going to do a deep dive unscripted review next time. I can't promise yet if it's going to be next week because I've got a trip this weekend, and I'm going to be very busy, but I'm going to make the attempt to get that out this next week. But in the near future, that's going to be the next movie for review on Superhero Rewind Unscripted. DJ, thanks once again for everything and for bearing with me, and I really enjoyed your list.